Hey, I'm Kyle, and this is the Vervet Forest. ButterBean stayed behind in the baby cabin, while Janet headed over to Disneyland to meet the other babies. Janet's loving Disneyland. She's hanging out in people's laps, she's playing with the other babies, she's even wrestling with Merlin. Timothy is a real quick learner, and he's already drinking from the bottle inside the feeding cage. Stick is doing fantastic as well. He's a little annoyed by his big cumbersome bandage, but other than that, he's doing perfect. So we finally got ButterBean to the vet, and the vet told us that he had a pneumothorax, which is basically a puncture that causes air to seep out into the chest cavity. When the air seeps into the chest cavity, it creates a lot of air pressure on the lungs and the heart. The lungs can't expand, the heart can't pump, meaning it's hard to breathe and it's hard to pump blood into your body. And you can imagine in a baby this size, it doesn't take much air for the pressure to build up quite quickly. Now, the vet said that he would be fine, but you just never know with these things. As soon as we got ButterBean back to the VMF, we received a very unexpected visitor. A baby baboon, about 4.5 months old, came into our care just for the day because we were going to turn him over to Riverside, which is another wildlife rehab center. We're not outfitted to take care of baboons. We don't have any baboons here. That's not part of the Vervet Monkey Foundation, hence the name, the Vervet Monkey Foundation. But for the time being, he was with us so that we could care for him until we could get him to Riverside. So while the baboon was with us in the baby cabin, ButterBean was left inside of a small sleep crate so that he wouldn't run around too much and exacerbate his pneumothorax. But it wasn't long before ButterBean started taking a turn for the worse. I don't really know how to talk about what happened. It was like one of the most painful deaths I've ever had to watch of a monkey. He just basically couldn't breathe. He couldn't do anything, and his lungs just started collapsing down, and he started gasping for air, and then, that was it. He struggled till the very end, and there was not anything we could really do but sit there and watch. It sucked. But the most interesting thing happened immediately after ButterBean died, and that was that Tori and I were sitting on the bed, and we were both just completely in shock. And the baboon seemed to sense the energy in the room because his entire demeanor changed. And he walked right over to me and he climbed up onto my lap and just wrapped his little arms around me and gave me the biggest hug. And then he walked over to Tori and he sat right down on her lap and just laid down on her legs. And the expression on his face was just this pure calmness. There was a sadness in his eyes. It was, maybe I'm reading into it or something, but I'll never forget that moment. No matter what happens, you have to stay positive. The work has to go on because there's still almost 600 monkeys out there that need to be cared for on a daily basis. And I don't think there's a single staff member here who hasn't experienced the death of a monkey that they cared for immensely and that they worked day in and day out to keep alive and to do the best they could for. But you have to take the bad with the good, and you have to move on. So on a happier note, Shemesh and Norah got to meet their first foster moms in the intro enclosure. We were all a little nervous. We thought that Shemesh might cling to Norah the entire time because he's been such a clinger, which he did, but only at first.
Yeah.
A lot of females came in. Most of them went straight to the food bowls, including this very large female in the troop who's the alpha. Her name is Acorn. She's real sassy and real rude, but she didn't really care about the babies. She just wanted to come in, eat the food off the ground, and then head back out. So finally, this female named Holly came into the enclosure. And Holly has actually had her own baby in the past. What I mean is that she gave natural birth to a baby in the enclosure, and unfortunately that baby ended up dying. We don't know why or how, but this is the first time that she gets to have her own foster baby. Holly was very patient with Norah and Shemesh. She kept her distance, but slowly inched her way closer and closer to the babies. Finally, Holly had them cornered on top of the feeding cage. Norah and Shemesh clung to each other screaming, but Holly would not let go. She pinned them down, and she lip-smacked, and she hugged them tight. She was clearly not going to miss her opportunity to be a mom again. Finally, Norah and Shemesh calmed down once they realized that Holly was not going to eat their little faces. Shemesh managed to wiggle his way out of Holly's grip, but Norah stayed holding on to Holly, and I think because of that, Shemesh decided he would stick close by. Eventually, Holly got Shemesh to trust her, and she gave him some hugs and she groomed him a little bit. That's about the time that another foster mom named Priya entered the enclosure. Priya came right over and scooped Shemesh up. For the next few minutes, it was a pretty funny game of the moms doing their best to hang on to Shemesh, and Shemesh doing his best to stay close, but not too close. In the end, you could tell that everyone was very pleased, and the two babies would settle quickly into life with Priya and Holly. Over in the Scro intro enclosure, Groot, Zabana, and Bernadette are all doing great, and you can tell that they cannot wait to get out into the troop. Benjamin joined Dylan in the Gismo intro enclosure, and he immediately found a mom. Foster moms Uh-Oh and Canuck both joined the babies in the Gismo intro enclosure, and they were very loving and very calm. Dylan and Benjamin are just playing and having a great time with their new moms. Dylan still eats like a weirdo. What I mean is that while the other monkeys use their hands to eat, they hold their food with their hands and they take bites, Dylan likes to put his entire face in the bowl of food. It's not the most conventional way of eating, but he makes it work. And look at how filthy his face gets. And of course, if you don't have a napkin, what's the next best option to get mango juice off of your face? Rub your face in the dirt. And that's it for this episode of the Vervet Forest. I hope you enjoyed it. Check back every week for a brand new episode. And if you want to see the pictures or photos of the baby monkeys in the meantime, check out our Instagram, which is @Vervet_Forest. And if you want to donate to the Vervet Monkey Foundation to help with the care of all of our monkeys, including these babies, then check out our PayPal, which is paypal.me/VERVET. There's a link below for all sorts of information in our description. You can find out about volunteering, anything else you want to know. See you later.